All right, thank you for staying with the Monday Report Town Hall session. We're still talking about what we're calling the silent killer because it kills 8 million people annually. That is an estimate, could be higher. That is the use of tobacco. And we're being told by the experts that there's no safe form, not at all. We see some of your questions. We'll pose them to my experts in just a bit. But let me hear from back there. We are taking these comments in threes. Yes, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Trevor. My name is Sheni Julius Jesse from the Presbyterian University of East Africa. I'm a fourth year. And the statistic from the research that was done by World Health Organization, that was in 26th July, some years back, that is in 2020, as Trevor introduced it, said that about 8 million people die yearly. And among these 8 million, we have 7 million people, users of this tobacco, and around 1.2 that they are exposed on the second hand smoke. And the same research shows that around 80% of these users come from the second and lower income countries. Does it mean that poverty is maybe the leading factor to the rise of tobacco? And then two, me as a student, and the students who are here can also attest to it, that you get maybe there's a party somewhere and you're all joining, and so you find your fellow peers are there and they're asking you, Jesse, can you smoke, or do you smoke? So when your answer is no, you're like, they're like, no, man, just get out of here, because the people who are here are guys who can smoke, which means that smoking as well provides a sense of belonging to a certain class. And you get some also students as well that they're like, Jesse, they use the sheng. Jesse misses in your lecture, says get anything, cast just smoke. Amo napata mimi nikiingia exam room kama sija smoke, siwezi get anything, as in siwezi kumbuka anything. So are there any maybe measures that you've put in place in our schools or in these institutions to ensure that we are combating this issue of tobacco?
All right. Let's hear 3 more comments back. I'm running out of time here, so we'll just be very brief. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, I'm Brian Collins, a student at St. Paul's University, and I want to echo what Jesse has said here about the usage of tobacco in campuses. So I want to challenge the government, at least have forums in the universities. We are just talking here, and after here, nothing will happen to the other side. So kindly come to these universities, sensitize students, tell them the effects of tobacco.
Okay.
To see a cheer to upper, let's bring the message to the campuses and also to the colleges. Thank you.
All right, pass the microphone back there. Let's get really quick comments or questions. Yes, go ahead.
I'm Okinda Vincent, and I'll be brief. I only have a comment. And looking at the situation, how it is, I've heard Madam saying about curbing making sure the smoking cigarette does not go all the way to the coming generation.
Yeah.
My comment was, why does the respective authorities take the mandate so that this cigarette may not be sold to people and carry them back at home? I sell for you the cigarette here, you use it from here, and then you leave free-handed, so that you are not carrying or rather exposing it to the young people or rather young children back at home, so that they may know that this is a useful drug that can be used maybe to stimulate the brain.
Okay.
So I could I could beg the respective authorities to look at it.
All right, 3 questions, but let me get a quick response from Dorcas here. Is poverty a leading factor when it comes to tobacco usage? Very briefly. And then those who Abu says that when you're in school, they say, mi siwezi shika kitu kama sija smoke. Is that a fact? Does that high make you any more active, or is this just one of the things that Robert was talking about earlier on? Very briefly, so that we get the next set of questions.
Thank you very much. It's true, 8 million people die every year globally from tobacco consumption, and in Kenya about 6,000 a year. And this 8 million is expected to rise to 10 million annually by 2030, with 80% of these deaths occurring in low and middle income countries, Kenya being one of them, and the highest rise will be in Africa. The recently disseminated global atlas called Tobacco Atlas shows that there is a global decline in tobacco consumption, but there is a rise in Africa in low and middle income countries.
So poverty is a factor.
Yes. Most people who smoke actually are poor people because they do not know the harmfulness of tobacco products. They don't access information, and also that usually that many people who are poor, they used to buy in stick.
Okay.
Yeah. And they are not able to access health information.
Yeah.
So they don't know the effect and they don't know where to find the health that they need.
All right.
So it is associated to the majority of the users are poor,
okay.
but also consumption of tobacco leads to poverty because it makes you spend your money when you don't get any profit out of it.
Yeah.
And it also makes you sick. You spend more money in hospital,
okay.
and the money you spend, on average, a person spends 1,200 for tobacco products in a household.
Yeah.
And given the people living under $1 a day, that is a lot of money.
So it's a vicious circle.
It's a vicious circle.
Okay. Let me bring in Robert.
Also for the farmers is the same.
Robert, when you hear the statements like what he's saying, that people say, me kama sija smoke, siwezi shika kitu kwa class, what comes to your mind? Is this the same statements you used to hear back in your days that you need to smoke to get a girlfriend, things like that?
Let me say, what contributes to such thinking is peer pressure, nothing else. Because you want to fit in, and those people you find there, before they introduce you to their club, you must show them that you're also man enough. You can join them by doing whatever they are doing. So in the process, you find yourself smoking cigarettes or using the drug that they are using.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to emphasize about tobacco is any form of tobacco use. If you are a smoker out there, or you are a user out there, always remember you are working with cancer in your pocket, cancer of the lungs, cancer of the mouth, cancer of the larynx, like this one of mine, very many types of cancers, and the only solution is to stop using those products.
Yeah.
I also forgot to say that it is not only the pain that you will go through after using these products, not only the physical pain, also the financial pain, because like in my case, I ended up spending a lot of money because of this disease, and this is money that I could have done something better for my family, or could have uplifted my standards, because we are talking of over 2 million shillings. How many Kenyans can afford that kind of money? Because I had to reach out to my friends to contribute for my upkeep, my financial obligations. Therefore, as one of the persons there said, tobacco, putting it in Kiswahili, ni hasara tupu, hasara tupu, hasara tupu. It has no benefits to any one of us. Therefore, I would advise those who are using it to abstain forthwith, because what is awaiting them is very painful.
Yeah. And if you don't mind sharing, you said it's very expensive. How much is that gadget that you're using?
This gadget comes from only 2 countries in the world, that is US and Germany. It costs 120,000, and I use a battery which also costs about 1,000, between 1,000 and 1,500. So when you look at the whole scenario of tobacco, is loss. Because how many Kenyans can afford this machine?
Yeah.
And we have so many people who are losing their voice boxes because of using tobacco.
Yeah.
Actually, I was just joking with Dorcas and telling her that when we are in this room, all of you are talking, using mid-air, while somebody like me, anytime I talk, I must pay for it. So, for anybody who is using tobacco out there, you need to know that it is a dangerous product.
Yeah.
And it is a very bad drug because of its addiction.
Yeah.
I went through so much. Then I thought the best way to reach out to many people is by writing a book.
Yeah.
And I wrote a book talking about my experiences with the cancer of the larynx, what I went through, what my family went through, and
Okay.
And I have campaigned for a long time against tobacco use.
All right.
For more than 10 years now.
Okay.
And I think I'm not stopping anywhere anytime soon.
All right.
I will continue campaigning against tobacco.
All right. That's a very powerful statement when you say that people speak for free, but for you, every single time you have to utter a word, you have to pay for it. And that is the effect of tobacco. Thank you so much for making time this evening. Nancy Gashoka, Chairperson, Tobacco Control Board, Dorcas Kiptui, Head Division of Tobacco Control at the Ministry of Health, Robert Mwangi, throat cancer survivor and also an author. And most important, thank you all for the valid comments that you made and the questions as well. That's where we leave it for now. My name is Trevor Mbiji. It's always a pleasure having you with us. This has been the Monday Report. 8 days with World No Tobacco Day to be marked. All we can do is give you the information. What you do with that information really is up to you. Good night.